Emily thought her marriage was the kind people envied, built on laughter, loyalty, and 20 years of memories. But one home DNA test didn't just change how she saw her husband. It changed how she saw her entire life. When the cameras rolled, Dr. Phil caught something in her husband's eyes and stopped the show mid-interview. What came out next shattered more than one family. The air inside the studio felt heavy. You could almost hear the tension hum through the lights. Emily sat center stage, a small woman swallowed by the oversized couch, clutching a folded sheet of paper so tightly it shook. Across from her sat Mark, the man she'd loved for 23 years, staring at the floor as if he could hide from the truth written on that page. Dr. Phil leaned forward, voice steady but cutting through the silence. "Emily, you said you came here today because you don't recognize the man sitting next to you anymore." She nodded, eyes glistening. "I thought I knew everything about him. But this proves I didn't know him at all." She held up the paper. The audience leaned in. It was a printed DNA report, a simple piece of paper that had detonated her life like a bomb. Dr. Phil glanced toward Mark. "You've read it." Mark's jaw tightened. "I've read it." Emily's voice cracked. "Then say it. Say what it says." Mark didn't speak. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Finally, Emily's voice broke through the air. "It says my husband has 2 other children, and they're alive." Gasps rippled through the audience. Camera 3 zoomed in on Dry Phil's face, calm but watchful. His hand rose subtly, signaling the producers. "Keep rolling," the gesture said, "but only for now." Emily turned to her husband. "You told me they died. You said there was an accident, Mark." "I cried for children I never met." Mark swallowed hard, the muscles in his neck twitching. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this." Dr. Phil raised a hand. "What exactly wasn't supposed to happen? The lie or getting caught?" Mark looked up, eyes wet but distant. "Both." For a brief moment, the studio went completely silent. You could feel the audience trying to decide whether to pity him or despise him. Dr. Phil exhaled. "Let's stop right there." He motioned to the control booth. "Cut audio for a second." The producers froze. Cameras kept rolling, but the red light dimmed, something that rarely happens on that stage. Emily stared straight ahead, voice trembling. "He's been living 2 lives, hasn't he?" Dr. Phil nodded slowly. "We'll get there, Emily, but I want you to start from the beginning. When did you first notice something was wrong?" Her answer came out as a whisper. 4 months ago, on Mother's Day." Dr. Phil leaned back. "The day it all started?" Emily nodded again, gripping the edge of her seat. "The day the gift that ruined my marriage arrived in a shiny little box." The narrator's tone, calm, reflective, cuts in as the camera pans across her tear-streaked face. It wasn't infidelity that destroyed this family. It was discovery, the kind that doesn't just break hearts, but rewrites histories. Emily's voice returns, soft but firm. "I thought I was married to a good man. But now I'm sitting here wondering if I was ever married to the man at all." She looks toward Mark one last time, eyes hollow. "You didn't just cheat, Mark. You build another world, and you let me live next to it, blind." Dr. Phil's expression hardens, empathy mixed with resolve. "When we come back," he says quietly, Emily takes us back to the moment that shiny box arrived, the moment everything began to unravel. The lights dim. The audience exhales. The music rises, low, uneasy. What kind of love survives a lie this big? For months before the taping, life felt ordinary, almost beautiful. It was Mother's Day, and the morning sunlight spilled through the kitchen like soft gold. The smell of pancakes, burnt just around the edges, filled the air. Emily laughed as her teenage daughter, Lily, ran in holding a wrapped box covered in glitter tape. "Open it, Mom. You're gonna love it." Inside the box sat a sleek white DNA kit, one of those Find Your Ancestors deals. The card read, "Let's find out where we come from." Mark chuckled, sliding an arm around Emily. "Guess we'll finally see if my grandpa's Viking story is real." It felt innocent, almost funny. A little family game. None of them could have guessed that one harmless swab of saliva would blow their lives apart. Weeks passed. The kit was forgotten amid wedding anniversaries and school events, until one quiet afternoon when Emily's phone buzzed with a notification. "Your results are ready." She sat at the dining table, coffee in hand, half excited. But as the screen loaded, the excitement turned to something she couldn't name. The chart showed relatives, distant cousins, fourth cousins, and then one name sat higher on the list, Rachel M. Parent/child match, 99.98. Emily frowned. That couldn't be right. Rachel wasn't anyone she knew. Then another name appeared below it, two teenagers listed as half-siblings. Her coffee went cold. She double-checked the app, refreshing again and again. The numbers didn't change. Mark's name wasn't there, but his email had also been used on the kit. She clicked the shared results and froze. It showed Mark linked directly to Rachel M. and those two children. The site wasn't glitching. The DNA didn't lie. Her hands shook so badly the phone slipped to the table. Lily looked up from her homework. "Mom? You okay?" Emily forced a smile. "Yeah, sweetie, just a computer mistake." But deep down, she already knew it wasn't. That evening she showed Mark the results. He stared at them for a long moment, not shocked, not confused, just blank. Then he said something that chilled her. "Emily, you shouldn't believe everything you see online." She laughed nervously. "It's DNA, Mark. It's science. These are your kids." He stood, pacing. "It's complicated." Those two words became a wall between them. For days, he dodged the subject. He blamed the company, said it was cross-contamination. But the more excuses he gave, the clearer it became that he was hiding something. Then one night, while folding laundry, Emily noticed Mark's phone buzzing on the dresser. The name on the screen made her throat close. Rachel M. Again. Her fingers hovered before she picked it up, heart pounding. The preview text read, "The kids keep asking when you're coming back. Coming back. Not calling back. Not writing back. Coming back." She put the phone down, hands trembling. The washing machine hummed in the background like white noise over panic. When Mark came into the room, she didn't wait. "Who is she?" she asked. "And don't say it's complicated." He froze, then exhaled through his nose. "You don't want this answer." She stepped closer. "I already have it." That was the moment the foundation cracked. The space between truth and denial collapsed. Later that night, Emily went online, searching through every social media profile she could find. It didn't take long. Rachel's page was private, but the profile photo was enough. Mark's smile, slightly older, standing beside two teenagers who carried his eyes. It was like looking at ghosts of a life that wasn't hers. She slammed the laptop shut, but her heart wouldn't slow. Every business trip, every late-night meeting, every call he took outside, they all rearranged in her mind, falling into place like jagged puzzle pieces. The next morning, she confronted him again. Her voice was calm this time, cold even. "You told me once you lost someone before me. You said she died." Mark looked away. "I didn't lie about everything," he said quietly. "She was gone, just not dead." Emily stared at him, realization flooding her chest. "You told me a woman was dead to hide the fact you still had her." He didn't deny it. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The sound of a clock ticked between them, marking the death of the life they'd built. Emily whispered, almost to herself, "You have another family." Mark said nothing. He just closed his eyes. That silence was louder than any confession could have been. The scene cuts back to the narrator, the same steady voice guiding the story. It started as a family game. But for Emily, the prize wasn't ancestry, it was truth. And the truth can be cruel when it arrives uninvited. The chapter closes on her reflection in the darkened laptop screen, her own face staring back, half shattered, half determined. Can truth really destroy what love was built on? Or does it reveal what was never real to begin with? The truth has a way of echoing long after it's spoken. For Emily, that echo started the night she couldn't sleep. The clock blinked 2:47 a.m. as she sat in the glow of her laptop, scrolling through Rachel's social media again. Each photo was a dagger wrapped in pixels. Mark standing next to Rachel at a lake house, the same one he'd once called a client's property. Two teenagers, a boy and a girl, maybe 15 or 16, smiling in front of a Christmas tree. The caption read, "Our favorite holiday with Dad." Dad, not Mark, not family friend. Dad. Emily zoomed in on the picture. The boy had Mark's sharp jawline. The girl had his smile, the same faint dimple that Emily used to kiss goodnight. It was undeniable. She closed the laptop and pressed her palms against her eyes. Her mind replayed every excuse he'd ever given. Business conferences, late flights, nights he came home smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't hers. She used to laugh it off. Now, she realized, she'd been living next to a stranger who'd perfected the art of pretending. The next morning, she followed the address listed on a tagged location. It was only 2 hours away. Her heart raced the entire drive, a mix of anger and desperate need for answers. The GPS voice felt cold. You have arrived at your destination. It was a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind that smelled of barbecue and fresh-cut lawns. She parked across the street, gripping the steering wheel so hard her fingers went white. The front door opened, and there he was. Mark stepped out, holding a grocery bag in one arm and laughing with a woman in a red sweater. Rachel. She was older than Emily expected, not glamorous but warm. Familiar in a way that made Emily's stomach twist. Then 2 kids burst out behind them, playfully arguing about snacks. Mark kissed Rachel's forehead before climbing into his car. It wasn't a fling. It was routine. It was life. Emily's breath caught. Every ounce of denial drained from her body. She started the car, driving aimlessly until the road blurred. That night, she waited for him to come home. When he walked through the door, smiling as if nothing had changed, she was already sitting at the kitchen table with the DNA report, her laptop, and a printed photo from Rachel's profile. He stopped cold. Emily, he said carefully, where did you get that? She looked up. I followed you. He didn't deny it. He didn't even blink. Instead, he sat down opposite her and exhaled as if he'd been waiting for this day to come. I wanted to tell you, he said finally. When? She snapped. Before or after our next anniversary? He rubbed his temples. You wouldn't understand. Try me. His tone shifted, calm, almost detached. I was with Rachel before I met you. We broke up. She said she didn't want a family. Then a year after I married you, she showed up with a baby. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't lose you, and I couldn't abandon them. Emily stared, her voice trembling but sharp. So you became 2 people. I became a coward. For a moment, time stood still. The refrigerator hummed softly in the background, the only sound in a house that used to be filled with laughter. She whispered, You didn't just cheat on me, Mark. You built a home inside a lie. He looked down, shame flickering across his face. I thought I could balance it, that nobody would get hurt. The words landed like poison. Emily stood, her chair scraping the tile. You didn't balance anything. You just split yourself in half and called it love. He reached out, but she pulled back. Don't, she said. You don't get to touch me with the same hands that built someone else's family. Later that night, after he'd left to clear his head, Emily went to his office. She searched through drawers until she found a locked one. The key was taped underneath the desk. Inside were photos, dozens of them, family portraits, beach vacations, birthdays. One picture stopped her cold. The 2 teenagers blowing out candles on a cake shaped like a heart. The frosting said, Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. Her stomach turned. He hadn't just built another family. He'd celebrated their love while lying in her bed. She sank to the floor, clutching the photo. Tears came, not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet sobs from someone realizing their entire life had been staged. As dawn crept through the blinds, she whispered into the empty room. Who am I married to? Back at the studio months later, the narrator's voice fades in as the camera pans to Emily's face under the harsh lights. Every work trip was a weekend with his other family. Every, I love you, was a line rehearsed twice. But what Emily would soon discover wasn't just betrayal. It was something far more personal. Because Rachel wasn't a stranger. She was about to learn that the woman who shared her husband's bed also shared her blood. What's worse, being lied to or realizing the lie was someone else's truth all along? The studio is different today. The lights feel hotter, the air denser. Emily sits across from Mark again, this time without tears, just quiet, exhausted anger. Her hands stay folded in her lap, knuckles white. Behind them, producers whisper into headsets. They can feel it too. Something big is coming. Dr. Phil clears his throat. Emily, last time we spoke, You discovered your husband had a second family. Today, we're going to talk about who that family is. He turns to Mark. You told my producers there's more to this story than Emily knows. I want you to look her in the eyes and tell her what that is. Mark's lips twitch. For a long moment, he doesn't speak. Then his voice comes out low. Rachel isn't just someone I used to love. Emily tilts her head. Then who is she, Mark? He swallows hard. She's your sister. The studio gasps. A sharp, collective sound that echoes through the rafters. Dr. Phil's eyes widen. He leans forward, signaling the crew. Hold the cameras. The red lights over the lenses blink off. Silence fills the room. Emily blinks twice, as if her mind needs to reboot. No, she whispers. That's not possible. Mark's voice trembles now. When we first met, you told me you were adopted. I didn't put it together until Rachel told me her parents gave up a baby before she was born. Years later, when I met you, I didn't know. Dr. Phil breaks the stillness. At what point did you know? Mark looks down at his hands. After we were married. I found out a few years in, but by then I didn't know how to tell you without destroying everything. Emily stares at him, horrified. So, you just let it happen? You let me love you, raise kids with you, thinking we were strangers when you knew. He nods, tears streaming down. I thought I could protect you from it. She laughs bitterly. Protect me? You kept me married to my own brother-in-law, Mark. The audience murmurs. Someone gasps audibly. The producers glance at Dr. Phil, unsure whether to resume filming. He shakes his head slowly. We need a minute. The camera's lower. Dr. Phil sits back, hands clasped, processing. Then he leans toward Mark. You understand, son? This isn't a story about mistakes anymore. This is about deception, generational trauma, and the price of keeping secrets that should never have been secrets in the first place. Emily turns away, covering her face. Her voice cracks through her fingers. Rachel knew, didn't she? Mark hesitates. Not first, but later, yes. She figured it out. Emily drops her hands. She knew we were sisters, and she still stayed with you? He can't answer. Dr. Phil speaks softly now. Emily, you have every right to feel angry. But before we move forward, I want to make sure you're safe and supported. He looks at the producers. Bring her therapist backstage. The cameras stay off for nearly half an hour while Emily weeps in her dressing room. When the red lights finally come back on, the energy is different, somber, fragile, but honest. Dr. Phil begins again, speaking directly to the audience. We decided to continue filming because what happened here isn't just about one marriage. It's about how secrets can grow into monsters that devour entire families. Sometimes the truth hurts so much that people think silence will save them. But silence only multiplies the pain. Emily wipes her eyes and looks straight into the camera. He didn't just lie to me. He lied for me. Told himself he was protecting me when he was really protecting himself. Dr. Phil nods. That's the hardest part about the truth. It doesn't wait for permission. Mark sits motionless, face buried in his hands. The studio feels like a courtroom, but instead of judgment, there's grief. Emily leans forward, voice steady now. You ruined 2 families, Mark, and you made us one broken one. Dr. Phil lets the words sit. Then, quietly, he says, secrets will always surface, whether you whisper them or not. The question is, when they do, who will still be standing beside you? The lights fade, leaving only the sound of Emily's shaky breath. Can family ties survive the ultimate betrayal, or do they snap forever once the truth is spoken aloud? The studio is quiet again, but it's not the silence of shock anymore. It's the kind that comes after a storm. The kind where people finally breathe, even if the air still hurts to take in. Weeks have passed since Dr. Phil stopped the cameras. The story went viral overnight. Millions of views, endless comments, strangers choosing sides. Some saw Emily as the victim. Others saw Mark as the man crushed by his own choices. But for Emily, the noise outside didn't matter. The real battle was happening inside her. In the update segment, Dr. Phil's voice guides us back in. Emily wanted to share where she is now, he says. Because healing doesn't start when the cameras stop. It starts when the silence becomes unbearable. The scene cuts to a smaller studio room. Softer lights, no audience, just Emily and Dr. Phil sitting face to face. She looks different. The makeup is lighter, her expression steadier. There's no rage in her eyes now, just something quieter, something that looks like survival. I still wake up some mornings expecting him to be there, she says. And then I remember he's not. I used to think that was loneliness, but I think it's peace. Dr. Phil nods. Peace often looks like emptiness when we first find it. Emily smiles faintly. I've been in therapy. The kids have too. We're rebuilding. I tell them every day that lies can't grow where truth is spoken early. The camera lingers on her for a beat, long enough for viewers to see strength forming where pain once lived. Dr. Phil asks, "Have you spoken with Rachel?" Emily's face tightens. No. She reached out once through a lawyer. An apology. I didn't read it right away. Why not? Because forgiveness isn't instant, she says softly. It's not a light switch. It's a door you keep open, but you don't walk through until you're ready. A quiet pause. Then, almost in a whisper, I finally read it last week. She takes a folded paper from her purse. The handwriting is shaky. She said she didn't know who I was when she met Mark. By the time she realized she was too deep in the lie to climb out. She said she couldn't face me because she saw too much of herself in me. Emily's voice cracks. I hate that I understood that. Dr. Phil leans forward. You understood it because you're human. Betrayal makes victims out of everyone, even the ones who caused it. A tear slips down her cheek, but she doesn't wipe it away. I thought losing him would destroy me, but I finally found myself instead. The narrator's voice enters again, gentle and steady. After truth, silence becomes its own kind of healing. Emily didn't win a battle. She ended a war that wasn't hers to fight anymore. Cut to Mark's update. He's not in the studio, just a recorded statement. He sits in a plain office, looking older, heavier, as if the weight of the lie has finally settled. I know I've hurt people I love, he says quietly. I can't fix what I broke, but I can own it. I'm working with a counselor. I'm trying to rebuild trust with my kids. Not as a husband, not as a man who deserves forgiveness, but as a father who still has to show up. The clip ends there. Back in the studio, Dr. Phil turns to the camera. You don't erase damage by pretending it didn't happen. You erase it by confronting it. Pain only ends when truth becomes the habit, not the shock. Emily nods slowly, as if those words are the ones she's been waiting to hear. I used to think forgiveness was something I gave other people, she says. Now I know it's what I give myself. Every day I wake up and refuse to let his lies define my peace. The screen fades to a close-up of Emily's face. Her eyes glisten, but she smiles. The narrator adds softly, Emily's story reminds us, you can survive betrayal, but only if you choose truth over revenge. Because revenge keeps you tied to the past. Truth lets you walk away. The piano underscoring swells as the scene fades to black. When truth sets you free, what parts of yourself do you have to leave behind? Months have passed. The camera pans over an empty studio, dim lights glowing like candle flames against polished wood. The chairs are empty now, but echoes of everything that happened here seem to linger. The tears, the gasps, the moments when silence spoke louder than words. Dr. Phil sits at his desk, hands folded. When Emily first walked through those doors, he says softly, she was carrying 20 years of love and a single sheet of paper that changed it all. Today, she carries something different, her own peace. Cut to a sunlit living room. Emily stands by a window, holding a stack of letters tied with ribbon. Her voice comes through in narration. I didn't want to write about it, she says. I wanted to forget it. But you can't heal what you refuse to face. Those letters became something bigger, a public post titled The Family I Didn't Know I Shared. It spread online like wildfire, reaching thousands who'd gone through the same kind of invisible heartbreak. In one clip, she's reading part of it aloud to a support group she started. I don't forgive because it was easy. I forgive because holding anger kept me trapped in a house that no longer existed. The group listens quietly. Men and women, young and old, all with stories of their own DNA shocks, hidden siblings, long-kept lies. They nod, some crying, some smiling through it. The narrator fades in, Forgiveness isn't about letting the guilty go free. It's about setting yourself free from the story that broke you. The camera follows Emily as she volunteers at a local community center. She's helping a young woman fill out adoption forms, guiding her gently. "Tell the truth from the start," she says. "Don't wait for a test to do it for you." Then we see her walking along a lakeside path at sunset, wind brushing through her hair. The same path where Mark once proposed years ago, but now she walks alone, slower, calmer. She stops, looks out over the water, and pulls a folded note from her pocket. It's a letter addressed to Mark. Her voiceover reads it quietly. "I hope you find the courage to tell our children everything, not just the parts that make you look better. I've stopped being angry. I've stopped asking why. I just hope one day you stop hiding from the truth too." She lets the paper fall into the lake. It floats for a moment before the water takes it. Back in the studio, Dr. Phil faces the camera, his tone both steady and compassionate. "What Emily's story teaches us," he says, "is that truth doesn't just reveal, it rebuilds. It takes the same strength to tell the truth as it does to forgive the people who never did." He leans forward slightly. If you're watching this and you're keeping a secret, ask yourself, is the silence protecting them, or is it protecting your fear? Because the moment you stop lying, you stop being trapped in the story that lies built. The music swells, a single piano note stretching into warmth. The screen fades to Emily's face one last time. She smiles, not the wide, naive smile from her wedding photos, but the small, earned smile of someone who's finally whole. Dr. Phil's voice returns for the closing reflection. "Sometimes the hardest truth becomes the strongest legacy. Because it reminds us, what breaks you isn't the truth itself. It's how long you run from it." The last frame lingers, Emily walking away from the studio doors into the morning light. If your truth scares you, Dr. Phil says, that's how you know it matters. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Family isn't about perfection. It's about courage, honesty, and the power to start over. Tell us in the comments what truth you've had to face. Because sometimes facing the truth isn't the end, it's the beginning of freedom.